everyone, welcome back to another Davis Marketing Decoded. I'm Sarah, and today we get to talk to all the fall 2025 interns. So today's going to be a little bit of a different podcast setup. We're basically going to have like a little chat with everyone, see what all they've learned, what advice they give to new interns. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So everyone, one at a time, just introduce your major, your school, and your name, of course.
Thanks. My name's Karla. I'm a marketing major at Georgia Southern, and I'm a marketing intern here at Davis.
My name's Morgan. I'm also a marketing student at Georgia Southern and a marketing intern here as well.
Hi, my name is Ava, and I'm also a marketing student at Georgia Southern.
Hi, my name is Carnell. I'm a graphic designer at Georgia Southern, and I do graphic design.
So Carnell, I'll start with you. What is it that you exactly do here at Davis Marketing?
I typically work on a lot of the social graphics, whether it is things for social media or I end up editing reels for certain clients here at DMC. And I've even done other little special projects where I've designed t-shirts or logos for the clients that we have here at DMC.
Very nice, yeah. And ladies, I know you all do the account management side, the content writing. So if you want to dive into a bit more of like exactly what you do, what your day-to-day kind of looks like.
Our day-to-day kind of just consists of writing content for different clients. We all have a different setup. So like some of us have pharmacies, some of us have pediatric offices, and then there's a mixture of all of them, honestly, but I can kind of let the other ladies kind of dive into that.
So along with writing content, we also do content scheduling with our certain list of clients where we schedule all the content for the upcoming months.
Yeah, I agree. That's sort of what we do here. And also, like Karla said, we all have like sort of different accounts, but also we have like a mix of everyone. Like she'll have some doctor's offices. I have IHS, which is a pharmacy, but I also work on scientific turf and all that good stuff. So we have like a mix, so it gives us good experience for every kind of sort of different client.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like we all do like such different broad accounts. Like right now, I feel like none of my accounts are similar at all. They're all completely different types of businesses. So.
What made y'all want to intern here specifically over, any other kind of marketing place in Statesboro?
You can see how all of the different departments here and how everyone's work comes together like in real time, physically, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I also love like the small feel of it, and I feel like everybody just knows each other, and I feel like that makes the work so much better. Like you can tell that everybody here just genuinely loves each other, and it makes it so fun to be here and work here. It's not something like, oh, I have to do this every day, and like you can tell because it definitely reflects in the work.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's definitely a really good work environment, but prior to knowing all of that, obviously, like we were applying for an internship, you don't know what the environment's going to be like. I really did like that. I actually heard about Davis through one of my customers at my job, and I really like their involvement in the community. You guys are very present, so it's noticeable, and that is something that is worth a lot, especially like not all businesses are going to go out there and really get involved with their clients and their community, and I really like that about this place. And now working here, I love the environment. Like everyone is, like she said, super nice, and everyone is happy to be here, so it's just great.
And I agree with the word of mouth thing. That's what got me into Davis Marketing. Shout out to Caven, but Caven, he recommended me join the team as an intern for graphic design because I was doing graphic design for another job that I work at. I think the thing that attracted me the most with Davis Marketing is more so like the variety of different things from like social media marketing and like video editing, and I got to learn things that I never really done before in graphic design, whether it was in class or in previous occupations where I've done graphic design.
So I know Carnell dove into this a little bit already, but for each of you, and Carnell, you can go over it again, what does a typical day look like for you? What projects are you working on day in, day out? What are you coming in and you're like, this is the top of my to-do list,
So a lot of the content that the marketing interns do, usually they get sent over to the graphic designers. And when we were doing our social posts for social media, whether it be Facebook or Instagram, we have the story or we have the idea of the tone these clients want to convey with their business. And so us as graphic designers, we design the posts and we make the posts based on that tone and story. So a perfect example of our client is like a pediatrician, and it's again, pediatricians are more catered to kids, and so a lot of the graphics and stuff that we do, it's more catered to like have a more childlike sense to it, more casual, loose in that sense, and colorful in comparison to other clients that we've had.
And what about y'all? What's your thing that you come in and you have to do every day, or you get to do every day, I should say?
I feel like it's kind of different on the day to day. Like, I feel like lately we've been more scheduling since the first of the month is coming up, or also with the holidays around the corner, we've been writing a lot of content for that and just kind of catering our different tones to each kind of different client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like our typical day would just be like coming in, getting right to writing some content. But sometimes it is a lot of scheduling, which I actually kind of enjoy. I'm
I like
surprised it's not
scheduling.
something that I
It's
enjoy,
kind of
because it
fun.
wasn't something that I thought that I would end up enjoying, but I actually like. So yeah.
It can be cathartic in a weird way, just
Yeah.
like peaceful.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I have to do it, it's
Yeah.
like, you know, it's a fun thing to do sometimes.
Your brain's like on autopilot.
Exactly. So, you know, a little bit diving deeper into your clients, what is your favorite, you know, client you work with, or your favorite project that you've gotten to do so far?
Ooh, I would say that I really like doing Mama Dog.
Nice.
I love the whole pediatric aspect of it. So I like that I can be more creative, like especially for the holidays right now. Like I've gotten to be pretty creative with my other clients as well, but specifically with them because it's children that you're catering to the most. So you get to be a little more creative when it comes to like Santa and Halloween and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely one of my favorites. I will say I also have Advanced Auto Body, and I really like doing them, which I'm surprised that I know nothing about cars, but I just really like writing content for them. So yeah.
Very cool.
Right now at least, I really like doing Strickland Pools because it is a pool company and it's the winter, and so it's been fun trying to think of like ideas of what content to post. I have a lot of fun going to visit clients in person. Like I've gone to IHS, and then one day we went and took pictures at what was it?
South Georgia Bank.
Yeah, we went and took pictures at all 3 locations of the South Georgia banks, which those are fun. Especially since we're interns, we don't get to interact with our clients that much, and so that's fun getting to meet them and getting to use what we do there on our content that we write.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One of my favorites is IHS, like you mentioned. It's so fun to like get to write content for them, but then to also go there and like see what they're like meet the people there, and they also have really, really good drinks. So that's always really fun too.
Yes.
And just going out there and like meeting people and then actually getting to like reflect those personalities through your content is really, really fun too. But I also love coastal processing.
Yeah.
They're so fun to write for because they do like the this or that's, or like, I don't know, you can just be kind of like more silly and goofy with that, whereas like IHS is definitely, it can be like educational, or it can be like, it's more like a small community kind of thing.
With all the fun and everything, has there been any challenges that you've had to face, you know, while writing content, while doing graphics, anything like that?
There is one particular client that I have had a little trouble with writing content for. That's Fordham's. The reason that I say that is not because I don't like the content that I'm writing, it's because it has to be so short.
Yeah.
And when I'm getting into my content writing, I'm just going in there and just like brainstorming and writing as I go. And like for them, it has to be very short captions, and they are very like a lot of them. So like every single day you have to post something day and night. So it has been challenging to come up with something, because since it has to be so consistent, because you're talking about the same thing every single day, it's hard to come up with different ways of basically saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think the one client that I've, two, SIP would be one of them, Southern Industrial, and it's more so from a graphic standpoint of it's a very limited like color palette, so you have to kind of like use the composition and the colors to create like visual interest into the graphics, because they're really, really simple. And usually, like, even though it looks simple, it's not simple to do.
Yeah.
And Bank of Newington is more so the opposite side of that, where Bank of Newington, I can't really always do like more graphic kind of work, like, how can I say, more like vector drawings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I would have to do a lot more like Photoshop working, like editing photos or having like a particular look to keep the formal look of Macon Newington. And I have been able to do vector stuff for Newington, especially for one reel that I did, but it's only like one of the few or like here and there when I get to do things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like Karla was saying, since we do have so many different types of clients that we do write for, it's kind of hard to like be like, okay, well, this client needs to be more like this one needs to be a little less of this. So like, I feel like that would be my main challenge, is to kind of remember what kind of tone you have to cater to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that like I've learned, because I started out as an intern and moved up to part-time and full-time. That's one thing I had to learn, that each client really has their, you know, their challenges and their like fun sides too, you know?
Right, yeah.
And you really just have to learn that and navigate that with each client. That learning curve can also be really fun as well, which, you know, it kind of is that journey of just getting to learn as an intern. What are some big lessons that you've gotten to learn here? Like, what are some real world takeaways that you've learned here versus, you know, your experience in the classroom?
You can like put your effort in to write content and like cater it towards whatever client you're working with, but you could still get some like harsh feedback back in a way. And like, even though you're doing what you're supposed to do, you still have to, like you're saying, cater to each business. And so I feel like that's something you just kind of have to learn as you go. You can't really get taught.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like with marketing in general, like there's only so many things you can be taught, but I feel like the best way to actually learn how everything works and stuff is just to like throw yourself into it. And I remember like our first time scheduling, I was like, wait, this is actually how it works? Like, this is actually how businesses do this? So it was just really cool to see that firsthand, like actually get to do it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like that real world experience in working with like graphic designers, like in the professional field, that definitely does like open your eyes how these kinds of things work. And especially like with communication and everything with other designers and everything, like, you know, getting feedback, knowing what the clients want. But when you actually like do it in a professional field, like those little things like really start to matter. And I will say, like, the more and more I started doing graphics here, it's definitely changed how I looked at certain things in class, or like whether in my graphics design job back on campus.
Very nice. Yeah. And that's definitely something, you know, just comparing the real world with the classroom. I know for myself, for example, when I did some graphic design classes, you would have a whole month to do like one graphic. And now it's like, I need this up by lunch, you know, or before lunch, you know.
20 by lunch.
Exactly. And so that's definitely something that you have to learn, and it's something that, you know, is a completely different like translation from the classroom to the real world, but also just getting to like intern and like learn that now instead of, you know, getting a full-time job and then learning it, I think is really helpful.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's my biggest lesson here has been, I feel like, everything, because like you don't learn any of these things, I feel like, in school and in your classes. Like it's really getting this experience. It's going to set you in your career, to be honest.
And based on what you've learned here, how does that actually impact what you do in the classroom, or how you know, approach different assignments in the classroom now?
I feel like right now I'm not really doing as many marketing classes this semester, so I haven't really been able to apply that yet. But next semester I'm doing a couple actual like marketing classes. These are like my final classes of my college career. So I feel like now that I've learned so much here, I can now apply that to my classes more than ever, because I feel like before, like, they don't have you like in marketing classes do as many projects like this. Like, you don't write content in those classes. So like, I mean, this is something I'm sure you guys can agree with as well. So, but at least knowing like the real aspect of the real world and how it works, you can kind of go into the classroom knowing like, hey, I kind of already know some of these things. So I feel like that's what I would say.
Plus, like, reading about some of the concepts that we do in class and like actually knowing at least a little bit more background information, it does make it more helpful and easier to understand too.
Yeah.
From transitioning here back to like classwork, it's definitely has shifted like on my work ethic with class. Like, I'm able to do things more faster, plan out things a little better, and have things like kind of ready. Like, I have like a very particular idea of how I want to do things and how to do it. Because with class, it's always, you kind of have to do this thing, but there's no particular planning on how to go about that. And so I'll also give the honest truth that a lot of the times, like, what we end up learning in class doesn't really have like I'd say like a large, what's the word?
Like a real world impact?
Yeah, like it doesn't have like a real world impact. So when I'm doing things for here, it's like, okay, I feel like what I'm doing here is very real. It's helping people, it's changing people. But when I go back to class, it's kind of like, well, it's time to do just this little old thing our teacher told us to do. And I will say it's definitely shifted my perspective of things with school in a weird way.
Yeah. And is there anything that you've got to learn about yourself while being here? Like maybe you're like, oh, I really love this. I didn't expect I'd love it. Like how you said, you know, the advanced auto body, right?
Yeah.
That you're like, I didn't expect that. I'd like that. Is there anything, you know, other examples of that you feel would apply to you?
Yeah, so truthfully, when I first, because I changed my major to marketing halfway through college. When I first changed it, before I started here, I was like, I don't know if this is actually what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I was nervous because I don't actually know what I'm doing. Like, you're just kind of just learning what you're learning in class and just hoping that you find something you like. I have fell in love with what I do here so much that I am so confident now in my major and what I want to do with the rest of my life, which actually I'm very thankful for because I was really nervous. I was like, I'm graduating with a degree and I don't even know what I want to do, but now it's like a little more clear for me.
That's really great. Yeah,
absolutely.
Working here in my internship here, I've kind of learned about myself that a lot of the times that I've done graphic design in the past or anything that I've done for school, I've always felt like I kind of wasn't really having much of a motivation for it, and I thought like maybe this isn't the thing for me, and well, maybe I just haven't found like my true calling with this thing because I these past few years my motivation with this stuff has definitely been called into question, and so I think kind of seeing what I do and the real impact that it kind of has onto like our clients and the people that we work with, it showed me that I could still put my best foot forward. It's just the intention and like what is it going towards. And I think working in Davis Marketing had shown me that it's never been me necessarily. It's more so what am I applying my abilities and my skills with graphic design to, and where is it going? Like, what's the bigger picture to the things that I create?
Yeah, definitely. Because everyone wants to feel like they make an impact, you know, wherever they are. And I mean, I know I felt that a lot with school, you know, like what is this really for? How is this, you know, really helping me? But yeah, definitely like getting to be in the real world and actually doing stuff, it definitely does make you feel like, oh, I'm actually impacting things, you know, like, oh, that's the content I wrote. That's the graphic that I, you know, designed.
Yeah, I stalk their Instagram pages to see my own content and like.
Yeah, you gotta be proud of it.
That was me.
I feel like it definitely builds your confidence in a way, and especially we've been doing this for a couple of months now. I feel a lot more confident than I did at first when I got here.
Definitely like being in a professional setting like this, like definitely it's kind of like a glimpse of the real world and like the kind of work that you'll be doing when you actually do graduate and get a job. So it's definitely, like you said, built confidence and kind of gets you excited to be out in the real world. And
I'm so ready to graduate.
So I've got a little bit of a, you know, role specific question here. So for the content ladies, how do you adapt your writing styles to different brands? Because like you said, they're all so different. How do you, you know, target your writing to their audience or to like what they want to convey to their audience?
I would say that I try to think of who's going to be looking at this content. Like I had said for Mama Dog, children, parents, you want to make sure that it's fun, enjoyable, something that children are going to look at and say like, oh, I like this, like it catches their eye. But when I'm working on planners, I'm thinking more like families, professionals, like businesses. That's more of who's going to be reading this content, who's going to be wanting to like purchase or get in touch with this company. And like advanced auto body, it's obviously drivers, so like there's not going to be children. So that's kind of how I go about it. I try to think about what age range, female, male, which most of my clients are kind of both. I don't have any that I feel like would be more male oriented or female oriented. Mama doc, I guess you could say, probably more mom and children, but that's really not gender specific. But yeah, I try to think about like gender, age, and all that kind of stuff when I'm thinking about what I'm writing, because that's definitely very important.
Like I write for Pojos, which is a gas station, which like that's so fun. Like when would you ever be writing content for that? And you can really do whatever you want with it. But I also have like Statesboro Women's Health, which that's majority of women that are going to be following that page and seeing that, so you can kind of cater that content. And I've also learned things writing when I'm researching stuff to write about.
So Carnell, for you, what does the design process look like for you? Like from the beginning of a project, you're just given the brief of it, to the actual completion of it, before posting. What does that look like for you?
So, especially when I am starting out with a new client that I've never done before, I'll first like do some bit of research of like who they are, the tone that they convey, and kind of just get to know, familiarize myself with like the branding and the identity of the client. And once I kind of figure that out, I also take into consideration of like what's been done before, and also like, again, with the content stuff, when the marketing interns do content, it kind of already paints the story that I am going to do for the like social posts or like the reels and things like that. And so with that idea in mind, I kind of have an idea of like, okay, this is what they want to do and this is the tone. And so in my head, I've seen all sorts of different things for like marketing, for a variety of different things. It doesn't even have to be specific for that client. It could be from other things. Like I pull ideas for compositions or visual graphics from things that I even like, and use that in a way of translating that knowledge into something familiar to that client. So one good example, when I did the Halloween post for Mama Doc, I thought it would be an interesting little idea to have the logo have a witch hat. And I thought like, well, kids, they're into like all the little things for Halloween. And I'm sure like knowing their like tone, the like kind of like playfulness of Mama Doc, I wanted to kind of cater into that and like play into that a little more. So with approval, I did ask, but I asked, hey, like what if I put a witch hat on to Mama Doc? And so that's the kind of thing that I kind of do. Like I just consider like the story, the tone in which the client is, even if it's not like social posts, like even if it was like me doing a logo, I consider like what it is that they do in that story and try to build something off of that, especially using the things that I've been familiar with and what I've seen visually throughout the world. Like everybody's seen billboards, everybody's seen ads, everybody's seen those kinds of things. But for me specifically, and I don't know if other artists do this as well, I usually take a lot of those things into account and kind of have it as a visual reference library in a way. And that's how I'm able to kind of translate that into the posts, the logos, t-shirt designs, all the different things that I've done here.
Yeah, and I love that you say it's like a visual story as well, because I mean truly that's what each client is, it's their content, their graphics, it all is their brand identity, and you always have to be sure you're communicating that brand identity and that visual story to their audience, getting their target audience. So now that you've been here a little bit and you've gotten to see kind of the flow of everything and the communication style between the teams, how would you say that the content and design teams work together? What are the things that you've noticed of how they work together?
I feel like, so when we write content, we obviously have to get it okayed by the account owner of them. And sometimes I'll kind of write some things where I'm like, I'd rather have this in the graphic than in like writing on the content. But it kind of, you have to be, like Carnell said, your tone sets the message for what the graphic's gonna look like. But you can go back and forth for a while until it's kind of all complete. But
So I really like that we use Trello for everything because it's very organized. It's very like, obviously we come first and we have to write the content first in order for the graphic designers to even be able to do anything yet because they don't know what we're going to write. They don't know what they have to design. So I really like the whole like organization of it, like going from like column to column and like you have to get, obviously for us, we have to get approval from like whoever would be, like she said, in charge of the account. But then like if we were just an account manager, I like how you guys just, you go, you check, and then you do the graphic design, and then you get it approved by the client and all that kind of stuff. So I really like the organization of it. Like I feel like it's not all over the place. You guys know what you have to do. We know what we have to do. So yeah.
Trello definitely helps. Like it's like for everyone to see, and you can see like where your content is, what it needs to get done, what you need to get done. And like Carnell was saying, like the tones that we set in the content also helps him create his graphic designs too. So yeah.
And it's even been times where certain things that I make, I would have to bring those to the account managers or like kind of consult them to see if I'm conveying the right message, or like is the graphic particularly like the way the client would want. So like for Bank of Newington, the one thing that I kind of found out early on is they really like the visual of the tree, like the community, the seeds, like they really like using trees because that symbolizes their community driven ideals. And so that was me having to consult the account managers to make sure like, okay, is this something that they would approve of, or more so would this be in line with what it is that they're trying to say. And sometimes like oftentimes like once you kind of get it like once, it's kind of like you can kind of just go from there and like, you know, you have the idea in your head. So I've done Newington a couple of times, so now it's like, oh, from then on I know the big theme is trees like planting seeds and stuff like that. And I could just kind of go from there. But even still, like, especially when I get new clients, I do have to like kind of ask like, hey, is this conveying the information, or is this like conveying who they are as a client or as a company or a business?
Yeah. And I mean, with any business, communication is such a key component to it. Like, I mean, a business would just fall through if, you know, didn't have communication set up. And that's one thing I enjoy about kind of us being a little bit of a close-knit company, is that I can just go over to like Maggie's office and say, hey, you know, this graphic is done, or, you know, were there any changes that were needed, you know? And like Trello, it's all kind of streamlined, like it's organized, which I'm an organizational freak. Like I need things to be organized. So yeah, it's definitely having communication, especially between the design group and the content writing group. It's always going to be so important to, again, make sure that that brand identity is communicated effectively and that the customer's happy at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So I know that y'all mainly use for content Google Docs and things like that, but Carnell, since you do designs, what kind of software would you say that you've, you know, really gravitated towards, or something that you use a lot while being here? You know, what do you normally go for?
So my two favorites have been Photoshop and CapCut. Photoshop has been with me for a good little while, well before I even considered doing graphic design. I remember just doing silly little images of like me and my friends with Photoshop. But with my prior knowledge of Photoshop and how to use it, it's definitely been like a lot of ease with like working with doing social posts, especially since we use that a lot for our social posts. And even now I still learn like a lot of things for Photoshop, even though I have a lot of that prior knowledge beforehand. CapCut has been a new favorite, especially as someone who's used After Effects and Premiere Pro. After Effects especially, it's a very complicated software that it has like a very big learning curve, and I feel like CapCut kind of combines those two, like I said, Premiere Pro and After Effects, combine it into one and makes it a lot more like user friendly. Like I was able to use Reels within the first day that I used CapCut. Never used it before I got here, and just off the single day of just learning like a few basic things on how to use it, I was able to knock out like reels within just a day.
Yeah.
And now it's just like it's become my favorite thing to use for like video editing and all that.
Definitely, and it makes sense why it's so popular for like TikToks and things like that,
Definitely.
it is user friendly and there's not like a paywall behind it as well, like Adobe products. So since y'all focus mainly on Google Docs and content, like for your content, is there any kind of, you know, other software that you actually like? You know, is there any kind of hidden thing that you're like, oh, this has been really helpful for writing content or working?
Lingo Jam.
I was gonna say the same exact thing.
We love Lingo Jam.
Lingo Jam, yeah, that helps to kind of put a little more, I don't even know what you call it. It's more like pleasing to the eye.
Like a sparkle.
Kind of zhuzh it up.
Yeah.
Zhuzh up just regular
Some
text.
pizzazz.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Also, Sendable is really user friendly too.
Yeah.
That we
Yes.
used to schedule.
Except
content.
that first time.
that first
That
time.
was a
that was a little
nightmare.
hiccup. That was a hiccup. But overall, it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
So.
And I know for me personally, Grammarly, that's what I always have to use for my content and everything. I'm always, I have it installed on Chrome and everything. I'm like, everything has to be approved by Grammarly before I send it.
I should probably get that because I feel like
It's
I have
great.
trouble with grammar sometimes.
It's so good. It's so good. Okay, so what would you say is one skill that you've got to improve on while being here? And that could be, you know, a soft skill, whether it would just be, you know, getting more comfortable, you know, talking to clients, things like that, or a technical skill, you know, writing content, doing designs, things like that. What would you say you've improved on?
I feel like I'm more tech savvy now. I know that sounds crazy because, you know, like people our age are supposed to be good with computers. Me and technology don't get along. But I've learned so much more about technology here and I like it. I'm actually kind of like, Rachel taught me a lot of things because I was like doing things like that would usually take like 5 seconds. I was taking like 10 minutes because I was going like the farther route. And she was like, you can do this like way easier. Like here, let me teach you. And I've learned a lot of things. So yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely gotten a lot stronger, just like my writing skills in general. Because like we talked about before, you do have to kind of speak in different ways for different clients.
I feel like a big thing for me is the collaboration aspect of it. I think that like we've had a lot of projects where we've had to work together, like the Kiwanis. We had to research a bunch of different locations of Kiwanis for potential clients, and then we also do lots of brainstorming together and like just bouncing off ideas from each other really helps a lot because everybody has different ideas, and I think that like once you collaborate and all that, it just makes everything that you think of 10 times better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one thing I definitely improved in was communication, especially among like other designers. Typically, whether I'm in class, a lot of the times it's more so just like talking with your classmates, not as like professional designers. And I know for my graphic design that I do on campus, a lot of the times it's kind of just left up to me, like whenever a graphic is needed or something is needed for advertising or marketing, it's just kind of like me just on an island by myself, just kind of like trying to figure it out. And I think definitely working here, especially working with Kaven, Abby, Rachel, or just anyone who's been here, I think it definitely helped me communicate stuff and like talk more like I'm doing something for a graphic design project or I'm doing a graphic for a client, rather than just like, oh yeah, I did this thing, I did that thing, you know, speaking in more general terms to where people can understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. So, since y'all are the 2025 fall interns, what advice would you give to future interns, you know, spring and then beyond? You know, what's something that maybe you've learned or something that you're like, oh, I didn't expect this when I got here?
I would say just to be outgoing. It's kind of hard to like put yourself out of your shell if you're not super extroverted, but being outgoing can get you really far, and also just being comfortable with feedback is a big thing. I would say it's a part of a lot of it.
Yeah.
Between who you work with and their clients, feedback is a big part of this job. So just being comfortable with feedback.
I agree. Definitely, I feel like just don't be afraid to put yourself out there. And don't be afraid to ask questions, because if you're new to something, nobody knows what to do.
Yeah.
So the only way to actually learn if you're confused about something, just ask and you'll know how to do it from then on. So
Yeah, I was going to say, ask questions. Like, that's one big thing that I had to learn that is okay to do, because I know that sometimes, like, depending on, like, other workplaces you've had or even in school, you can sometimes feel a little, like, hey, like afraid to ask questions. The team here really makes it so easy to ask questions. Everyone is very understanding, very open to teaching you. No question is a stupid question.
So thank you all for getting to come in and talk about, your experience, what all you've learned. I know it's really insightful, and it's really nice to see, not just as someone who used to be an intern, but I'm sure it's really useful for future interns or people thinking, should I be an intern, here or somewhere else? What is that experience going to look like for me? So thank y'all for coming in. And this has been another episode of Marketing Decoded. I'm Sarah again, and we've had our amazing interns. And join us for our next episode. Bye.